frame. Turn it forward, Mark.
As if I think that's right.
Oh, right, okay.
As if I think that's
Are
right.
we ready?
No, we're not. Hang on. Let's do this.
Friday! Welcome to the best morning TV show not on TV. Because...
It's good. It's almost as good as Lee's strapline.
What?
The bigger the ice, the surface.
No, can work on it and tell us
The bigger
tomorrow.
the surface.
But anyway, it is the best morning TV show not on TV. And rather like Curly Cooks, this is what I was just saying on Instagram, rather like Curly Cooks, which is one of my sisters, and he does quite a little bit of cooking, don't you? Morning cookery show on Saturdays. Coffee Moaning is actually similar in that we don't have to do that being perfect on telly thing. So telly is lovely and it has its place, and you know, it's lovely seeing people all perfectly made up and doing things very nicely. But I think also for relatability, it's nice to have people, sometimes it looks like this, sometimes it made a bit more effort, and are just chatting to you. So that's what a lot of you say in your messages. So thank you very much. If you're new, welcome to our little community.
So just to give you a little heads up on what happens this weekend, you're going to have some content later today. It could be a mix of either home time, weekly rushes, or meals in minutes. Something like that's going to come. Tomorrow is the Curly Cooks. Nadia and Dina go batshit crazy in the kitchen.
10 a.m.
10 a.m. Just before that, there'll be the Saturday newspapers. On Sunday, for the members, there will be the No Name Sunday show. And tonight, Nanny Di is in the house to do a members live with me.
Woohoo!
Chance to win some cards, etc., etc., etc. What was that from? Was that The King and I?
Yes. Whistle a happy tune and no one shall suspect you're afraid.
You're afraid. What was that other song in My Fair Lady? Do you remember when she did that? She was like, she couldn't. The rain in Spain.
The rain in Spain was mainly hard to play.
And also at the end of this live, Nadia's going to trip over towards the kettle and we're going to do the Friday quiz. Because we love the Friday quiz, don't we?
Fuck Off Fridays. I'm still doing Fuck Off Friday. The reason we call it Fuck Off Friday, this all came from Mark absolutely hating the whole...
Gonna have fun.
No, what is it on Instagram? What do people say?
Oh, Fun Friday.
Or
Hashtag
Friday
vibes.
Friday vibes. And if you're not into that kind of thing, it can be a bit annoying. And if you're not going out and getting pissed and partying, it can be a bit excluding. That's where it came for you, wasn't it?
As I always say, the best kind of fun happens accidentally. If you try aiming for fun, you miss that dartboard and it goes in your foot.
The Sawalha-Adderleys musical to come. I'm sorry, I'm a bit strange. I had my medication about an hour ago. I've gone weird.
In what way? Your
Sometimes
lips
this
aren't
happens.
working.
No, sometimes I just go a bit weird.
Lee Doran says, this Friday can fuck off, no fun for me. Let's all give Lee Doran a virtual hug like we used to with Xander Gibbs. Yes. Oh dear Xander, it's so weird, isn't it?
So weird.
Zoe Zigzag, I feel so fuck off Friday. It's untrue. And in a sense, it gives permission for you not feeling great on a Friday.
Yeah.
It's all right.
Yeah.
It's all right.
It's a bit like, and we will get to the news. If you're new here, we always have a little chat first. It's a bit like in the pandemic when everybody, you know, all those people were learning instruments and baking sourdough and everybody else was feeling like
making baskets.
But there weren't that many of them doing it. No. They really weren't. Again, it's that whole fake world that it's just so toxic, isn't it? Oh guys, I've been doing my 21-day meditation on day 6. Loving it.
Yeah, so have I.
He hasn't done one day yet.
Oh, look, someone says here, the King and I reminds me of my nan, Miriam W. It does me too.
Reminds me of my dad. Well,
Yes.
my dad's brother is very, very like Yul Brynner.
Yul Brynner was great.
He was so good.
Who remembers the original film of Westworld where he becomes a robot that goes rogue?
Yeah.
I remember being captivated by that. Anyway, oh look, everyone giving you a hug, Lee. Look at that. That's lovely. Love Fuck Off Friday. Tori. Hey, Tori!
Wonder Woman says, do your meditation, Mark. It's crucial.
No, I know. As you saw me doing air guitar, Nadia sent me that. God knows when we filmed it. My air guitar was sensational, if I say so myself.
Oh, Solomon makes films. I've got rotten ingrowing toenail waiting for surgery, walking his pet. Thank you for bringing up ingrowing toenails.
Right.
This is an underestimated thing, guys.
Is it?
A friend of mine years ago spent like a week in hospital with his ingrowing toenail.
Did he?
You've got to be really careful. That's what I say to you about your toenails.
Right.
And if you're diabetic, it's even more dangerous.
Angela Craig says, my old boss...
But you're fine because you're having yours done. I'm not. I'm sorry, darling. I don't put to make you feel worse.
Yeah,
you're
great.
having yours seen to. It's when people don't leave it and leave it and leave it. Don't get it seen to. You can get yourself in a pickle.
Angela Craig, my old boss, used to get very excited about Feel Good Friday. She was a pain in the arse. Okay, just
Feel Good Friday.
Couple of stories that I think are important. Obviously, today is Holocaust Memorial Day, so there are events happening all over the country to, in a sense, obviously remember the awfulness of World War II, the fact that 6 million Jewish people were killed, and a great many other
What was
people
the number
too.
of the Polish? It's extraordinary.
Yeah.
Does anyone know that number?
Polish.
I think it was around.
Yeah.
Does anyone got the number on how many Polish people? Because it is way higher than we ever hear of, actually.
And obviously, there were also in there, anyone of any difference,
Yeah.
so disabilities,
Gay.
homosexuality, etc., etc. Obviously, people who are against the Nazi regime, but obviously, the vast majority of people, tragically, were Jewish.
And many intellectuals as well, weren't they? People,
absolutely.
critical thinkers were got rid of pretty quickly.
So,
6 million Polish.
wow, Russ, really?
You see, we don't hear
Is that as
number.
well? Yeah. Were many of the Polish Jewish as well? I mean, that's
Was
that's
that the
fascinating.
thing? God, we all learnt it, didn't we? That's why it's good Holocaust Day, actually.
Yeah.
Because it just gets you to remember these things. We'll have known them at a certain
I'm
time.
planning on a trip to Auschwitz, hopefully later this year or the beginning of next year, because I have, the project that I was talking about, which is incredibly, you'll find out about it in due course, but it's an incredibly shocking and
Ripping
surprising
story, yeah.
aspect of what was going on in the concentration camps that no one has thought about and has had consequences.
Amazing, real life stories.
But anyway, so huge remembrance, Memorial Days. So take a moment, I think, everyone, to think about that. It's as important as Remembrance Sunday. And the other story that I just wanted to pass reference to is HS2, which is, the estimate is going to cost 100 billion. So if they scrap that, it would have filled the hole for 2 years. And they're basically talking about the fact that it's gone so over budget. It's not going to go to Euston now, which was the whole bloody point of the thing.
This is just the most shocking waste of money. And the thing is now, it feels like, they're almost thinking, well, we're this deep in, we might as well throw a load more good money after bad.
Well, they are talking about limiting it now, not making it go to Euston. Do you remember when...
Apparently Birmingham isn't going to happen.
Right. Well, I mean, so many aspects of it aren't. And they're saying it won't be ready till 2038. We'll nearly be 70. I mean, it's,
And isn't there one of the places it's going to, that there was the political editor from The Sun talking, he says, is now served by the Elizabeth line anyway. So it's...
There you go.
I mean...
I think Liverpool Street
Isn't it just so annoying?
It's ridiculous.
So annoying.
So that's crazy.
Nobody's held culpable for it.
Was it the Labour Party launched it?
I
can't
don't
remember who
know.
launched the
I
bloody
don't
thing.
remember how it all started.
All I do know is the Labour Party introduced student fees. And people rarely talk about that. It was Tony Blair who introduced that after saying education.
And we are both Labour supporters, but
frustrating.
shame on you.
Okay, let's get into the kind of juicy topics. Like this story you sent me, I was quite... I don't know how I feel about this one. I obviously feel... It says breastfeeding. Sorry, the story is a woman has said that her school has said she can't breastfeed him at school during his lunch break or breaks. They have sort of playtime. And she feels that she's being discriminated against.
How old is he again?
5. So he's 5. And what she requested was to be able to come in to keep part of her son's routine continuing. She wanted to come in and breastfeed him. Her son turns 5 at the end of this year, so he's 4. The school has told me I can't come and breastfeed him at recess and lunch, and I don't know what to do. I want to do a poll. I want to do a Friday
So
poll.
with this, I'm assuming she hasn't got a job, a full-time job.
Right? Yeah, she's a mum.
So what I would say is, no harder job than that.
No,
But what I
that's what
would
I'm
say
saying.
is, no, I'm just thinking for time, because what I'm about to say, you'll understand why. I think 4 is very, very young for nursery anyway. So if I were her, what I would do, because you can kind of understand why the school can't have that, because all the other children will be like, I want to see my mummy, I want to see my mummy.
Yeah.
So what I would say to her, if I was her friend, I'd say, bring him home at lunchtime.
Right.
Get him to do a half day.
What if it's
because
too
I don't
far?
think she's ready to let go. But she's going to come in at lunchtime and recess. That's what I mean.
No. But what if it takes too long to take the child home so that it's not back in time for the rest of the school day? I think that's probably
That's
the reason.
unlikely. Most people's children go close by, don't
Come
they?
on, right.
But she's got to drive. That doesn't make any sense because she'd have to come back at lunchtime anyway.
Yeah, but it doesn't matter. Say it took her half an hour to get to school. It would take her half an hour to take the child home and then half an hour to bring the child back.
No, sorry. I mean to just do half a day.
Oh, at school?
Because he's only 4. He
I see
doesn't
what you mean.
need to be
Sorry.
at full day, does he?
What do you all think, guys? Laura Dion, ridiculous. Too old to breastfeed, Sarah Withington. That's for her benefit, not the child.
I think she's having trouble letting go. And I think...
Okay, well, here's another aspect to this story. I mean...
But I don't judge anyone for how long they breastfeed. I look at it and I think, how the hell do you do it? But if you are somebody that is into attachment parenting,
Holistic.
intuitive, if that's your choice to bring up your child, I think, I don't want to judge, I wouldn't judge it. But I think you do have to, you're within a society where where things work in a certain way. So I would be looking, rather than saying I'm being discriminated against, because I can totally understand the school's perspective. It's like, how are we going to let you in? All the other kids will want their mums at lunchtime.
I wonder whether even at the age of 4 or 5, some of the other kids would kind of almost tease them or mock them.
I mean, the thing is, that is about comfort at that point. That is not about nutrition, is it?
No.
It's not like to keep that child alive.
No.
That's about a problem detaching and...
Well, here's a couple of comments on social media. I'm still breastfeeding my 7-year-old. It's why I made the choice to homeschool. Someone else said, imagine the kid trying to explain why he doesn't have a lunchbox or lunch because mummy's coming to breastfeed feed me. Bullying commences in 3 to 1. That's kind of what I think. Someone else says, hopefully the kid eats more than just breast milk. The kid probably only uses breastfeeding time as a comfort thing, which is definitely a psychological no-no. The kid needs to find other ways to find safety.
Yeah.
But the father... also of this same child, also went on social media to say that whilst on a flight, his wife was asked to cover up while breastfeeding by a flight attendant because the flight attendant felt uncomfortable while stood over our seat. What do you think of that? Staring.
Well, was the child 5? Again, 4? I think again, people are...
The husband said, look away.
Yeah, I mean, don't stand and watch. I get very angry about people being moved on for breastfeeding when the amount of breasts we see everywhere, the amount of porn that we see everywhere. You can be on a train and people can airdrop you in the most terrible fact. This is about feeding for life. So I've got no tolerance whatsoever for people picking on people breastfeeding.
I have to say, there was a couple of occasions...
But it is challenging to watch a child of 5 or 7 breastfeeding. It is challenging.
Yes, I think the age would be odd. I mean, I think there's nothing nice. I always avert my eyes whenever I see it happening, and I just think it's a lovely thing that the mum feels comfortable. That
I never felt
all
comfortable.
that kind of stuff.
Always felt embarrassed.
Right, yeah.
Mortified.
But I do remember, let me just say this quickly, I do remember in one instance being quite shocked, not shocked morally, literally shocked visually, when someone pulled their breasts out in an incredibly ostentatious fashion, sat for a considerable amount of time before the baby got on, and I was literally speechless. So I do think it's perhaps about being discreet, only because other youngsters might not understand.
Do you know why we have such a problem with breastfeeding? And I really, really, really struggle with breastfeeding in the Western world, because strangely, in other countries where women are very much meant to cover up, like whenever I went to Jordan, where my father's from, I would always see people just breastfeeding.
Really?
it just so from a very young age,
That's surprising, isn't it? In a
you would
Middle
just, well, you know, not like breasts out, but you would see how the baby would latch on. And because that's not going in by osmosis from a very young age, it's just such a busy. I mean, I went on a 2-hour breastfeeding workshop before I had Maddie, and I still couldn't do it. I mean, I did do it. I persevered with both of them, but it was very, very traumatic time for me. I was just, it was just awful because I just couldn't.
Do you remember we had to stamp on your foot
Yeah,
to distract you?
I used to have to squeeze my feet as hard as they can and stick their fingernails into my feet to take away the pain from my boob. It took about 4 people for me to breastfeed.
And twist your ears, I seem to remember.
What do you think, guys?
Well, Claire H says, I had a very embarrassing moment when I was feeding, but didn't notice baby had fallen off, so just sat there chatting to my electrician with my boob hanging out.
Oh, Claire, I love how easy you felt. You're my, oh my God, you're my nemesis. I used to yearn to be a woman like you.
Miriam W, go to Spain, they go out shopping while baby is whacked on boob and nobody batters an eyelid. It's a natural thing to do. That's what you do.
It's not sex.
Yeah.
This is the ridiculous situation that we're in.
Max, it's a shame it's sexualised.
Yeah.
77% of you think she shouldn't be allowed to breastfeed at school.
Yeah.
I do think it's troubling. I don't know why they don't just pop her in a class cupboard. That's what they used to do to kids that were naughty at my school. They just turn them
if
into...
I was the head, I would take her in and I would say, listen, look, we can really see and hear that this is really important to you, and you've not, maybe your little one isn't quite ready for a full day at nursery. And I would talk to her like that. I wonder how she's been talked to, and just like really understanding and accepting of what her choice is, but basically say, no, you can't do it. Because everyone wanted it.
Yeah. Oh, I see, yeah. So, yeah. Katie Travers, a couple of more comments on this and we'll move on. In Gambia, where my husband is from, which is a Muslim country, women will sit with their breast out as the baby may latch on and off. Nobody bats an eyelid
because they're being
breasts
fed.
are not sexualised.
A baby is being kept alive. That's how we've got to think of it.
I do think perhaps it's a sort of westernised thing.
It totally is, because we
are
are so sex obsessed, and breasts have become just something totally for the pleasure of men and not for what their purpose is.
This next story really grabbed me because I thought it was perfect Nadia Sawalha territory. Inside the secret Facebook world where women review men.
Oh,
Literally
I've not seen this story. Tell
review
me.
men. So
Get a break. Hang on.
it's Are We Dating the Same Guy? So these are Facebook groups, and there's also a website. Let me just find the name of it. There's a website. I forget the name of it. But essentially, there's an increase in places that you can go where you can talk about and ask questions of other people about men you've dated or men that you want to date. It's so, questions like, are we dating the same guy? Does anyone know who this person is? Have you seen this person popping up on dating apps too much? The comments are often harmless. This website, so I'm just trying to find for the most part, it mostly consists of straight and cis women. They'll post a screenshot of a dating social profile, encouraged to post anonymously, and they say, please put info in comments. They're encouraged not to, I'm just finding, the first group began in New York in March before a London version was set up 2 months ago. It's swelled in size. There are 16,000 members. And it comes from a place of trying to avoid stalking, violence and sexual assault, unsolicited dick pics, love bombing, gaslighting, catfishing and ghosting. What do we think?
I mean, this is, okay, so...
Just review men as well. When I say review men, they don't review them posthumously, but they perhaps will go on a date, or they'll see someone that they're thinking of going on a date with, and they'll pop up a publicly available on the app profile and it's like doing a due diligence, isn't it? It's like doing a due diligence. Perhaps you know that someone's married. Do you know what I mean? I mean, what dating? What would you think?
Wow. I want to know what
Zoe Griffith said, could help a lot of women avoid abusive men.
Yeah, I mean, I think the thing is, we see over and over again, don't we? Men have patterns. There's a really good book about, abusive men will have real patterns. There's a really good book called The Charm Syndrome, which is all about how abusive men will often be so charming. They say sort of same man, different name kind of thing. How they have a
Do a poll.
how they have you know, a pattern. So they may very well at the beginning, like love bomb you, charm you, put you up on a pedestal, and then it gradually moves into, I'm the only one that really loves you, I'm the only one that really knows you. Maybe you shouldn't see that friend of yours, maybe you shouldn't. And that can be very, it's insidious, isn't it? Because you can start off and then your heart's a flutter, and then before you know it, you know, it's all out of hand. So in those situations, if somebody's a serial person like that, and I'm trying to think what's wrong with it.
Well, Lee Durant has a good point.
Yeah.
I think it's a good idea. However, what if women just didn't like you and made things up?
Yeah, that I was just thinking about that, Lee. But I think you would have to have successive people. I think you'd have to have a number of people saying something.
Yeah. I mean, this.
And I
I'm
think
really frustrated.
here we are again. What can women do to make themselves safer? Because no other fucker seems to be stepping up to the plate. It's sad. It's really sad that we haven't even think about this. But, you know, stalking is a huge problem. People tend to think of just stalking with celebrities, but it is a massive problem. You know, tens of thousands of people stalked, not just women as well, men as well. And, you know, the police are woefully poor at dealing with it. And there are patterns of behaviour. So if you've got a wee red flag and you can look that up and you can say, just got a bit thing. And what would you do if 10 women came forward and said, oh my God, I'm so glad he did this, this, this. And you can follow that pattern, you can get the hell out of them.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes, some people, some partners, some women will go on there because they're angry that their ex left them or whatever. I don't think you could do it with just one person saying it.
I mean, the profiles say that they won't, you know, you're not allowed
And what
to
if
kind of say
nobody
negative
answers?
stuff.
What if nobody answers and it gives you a false sense of security?
Very true. Yeah, very
That's
true.
the other problem.
But interestingly, you know, I was surprised by this
I'm
statistic. I thought it
conflicted
would be
too,
more. 1 in 5 use online dating apps. 1 in 5 people in the UK still use online dating apps. So, yeah, I mean, but a lot of people are saying, you know, the idea is to make people safe. I mean, I wonder whether there could be one for women too, but the problem with that is then you run the risk of it being hijacked by sort of misogyny and all that kind of stuff, don't you? Namaste. When I was younger, I had a 6-year relationship with a man who was living a double life. It broke me, led to chronic illness and mental health issues.
Holly, I'm a bit confused here because if men did this about women, I would be furious.
Well, just that's
No,
exactly
but
what I was just saying.
but,
That's
but
interesting.
what I would say about that, Holly, because
Mandy
that did pop
Beddoes,
up.
hi.
We've got to think here. We've got to remember here. There is a different power balance. There just is. There just is. And you know, what would men be asking if you could go on? What would you ask?
Well,
If you were just newly dating a girl, would you be thinking, could she possibly be violent with me? Could she possibly end up stalking me? Could she be married? Would you be thinking like that? I don't think you have the same risks as men.
No, there's not the same vulnerability for men. No.
So I think it would move more into what's she like?
Yeah,
how many people has she slept with?
Yeah.
That would be where men would
I'll tell you one of the other things I think there's a problem with in this is that you could argue that given the dating scene and the apps and the swipe right and or left or whatever it is, people could suggest that people do lots of dates and try and infer something from that, when in fact some people do lots of dates because they're trying to find the right person. So do you know what I mean? I think people could misconstrue behaviour and stuff like that.
Kate Farragut, the principle behind it sounds good, keeping women safe. I think a more official channel would be better, but as Nadia said, official channels seem to be letting us down over and over again. They do. I mean, I just heard some girls talking on Radio 4, missed the beginning of the programme, but they were talking about harassment in clubs and harassment at night in busy places. And they said if they saw a lone policeman, they would be more likely to go into a shop or a petrol station for protection than go up to a lone policeman.
And recent
I mean,
stories
that
back
is
that
where
up.
we are at.
Recent stories back that up.
Yes, this is going to be flawed, this idea. Yes, it's not the perfect solution, but this is what women are being pushed into.
Yeah. Sharon JL says the really bad guys use different names on different sites.
There
Catfishing
is that
too.
worry that you could get a false sense of security. I was talking to our daughters the other day about a friend of theirs who was having a bit of a new thing, and she was a bit like unsure of this guy. And I said, well, why don't you get her to write a little list of like the red flags and the green flags? And my daughter said, yeah, I saw this really good thing on TikTok the other day, and it said, if you have to sit down and write and start writing down green and red flags and comparing them, it's just one big red flag. I was like, there you go. Your kids come to this little planet and they teach you, and it's true. If you've got enough to write down a list, this was a red flag, this was, get out.
Right. Well, on this note, there's a kind of bit of a segue to celibacy. This is a story that you found. Celibacy is on the rise. Anyone here who embraces...
Have you been chosen celibacy?
Yeah, have you ever chosen celibacy? Let's just look at the poll. Do you think reviewing men online is a good thing? Marginal majority, 57%, more than who voted for Brexit.
I think I say with great sadness and a heavy heart and the complete awareness that it is a flawed idea, but acceptance that girls are desperate. I think that's what I think.
Have you ever gone celibate? So what do you think of celibacy, guys?
So
there's this idea that it's on the rise. This article sort of pegs it to the fact that Valentine's Day is coming up. They say Google Trends data says there's a 90% increase in searches for celibacy. Just before we get into this as a sort of benign subject matter that's not to worry about, I do worry about what aspect of that is incel, because of course, cel stands for celibacy or celibate. But celibacy is often associated with religious or spiritual beliefs, but not always. I think there's also an increase in people who are asexual. So celibacy, what are your takes on celibacy?
we have a friend that was that
Hang on, leap here. I didn't choose the celibate life. The celibate life chose me.
Oh, bollocks.
Leap.
You're about as celibate as God knows what. But anyway, a friend of ours who really enjoyed sex, she loved sex, and then she had her children, and she split up with her fella, and she made the choice to be celibate until the kids were a certain age. And then she started up with somebody again after years, and she said it was just went straight back, absolutely loved it. An amazing orgasm maker. She has incredible orgasms.
Christ.
And just went back to it. So it really was true. It wasn't that she...
Who was this?
Oh, as if I'm going to say the
No,
name.
but was it a friend?
Yes.
Sorry.
What was I saying?
Sorry.
Yeah, so why I made the point of saying that when she went back to it, she loved it and she had great, is that she loved sex. This wasn't about her going, oh, well, I don't really like it anyway, so I'm not going to have it. It was about a decision. And if there's one thing I could change in my life, going back, is more time in between relationships. And I think both of us were like this. We're both quite codependent, both ADHD. And I think we very quickly, what do they call it? It's you know how monkeys go from bars to bars? It's monkey relation,
bars.
where you go from one to the other.
Swing.
Because you don't allow yourself that time to just sit with yourself. You're running away from yourself. And I think more celibacy, a decision to stop a sexual relationship, is really healthy.
I mean, I think for a fact that men would not opt for celibacy as much as women, because I'd imagine that one of the aspects of going celibate
So it's assuming that all men are very highly sexual.
No, that's not the case. I'm just being honest. I mean,
I think it's a really interesting point, this, because I think that can be a toxicity thing for men, that we expect all men to want sex all the time and most women to not want sex all the time. And I think it puts enormous pressure on those men that are. I mean, I hate the word undersexed, but aren't as sexual as others.
Well, I just wanted to finish the point. So I think celibacy within a relationship can often be a reset to find forms of intimacy that are different.
Yeah,
and
I
so,
think it's useful.
and so, in that sense, sometimes, maybe it's going celibate. Is that right? What defines celibacy? More than a week, more than a month, whatever.
Shall I look up? Shall I see
And
the
so
definition?
I do think sometimes relationships that are going through difficult patches, a patch of celibacy might be really good, because it will force you into a more inventive and creative form of intimacy. It might also even throw a spotlight on how some relationships just lean on sex as a form of
And is that what this
expressing their love.
article is saying? So celibacy, the state of not having sex, especially because you have made a religious promise. Oh, not to.
It's simply the idea that more and more people are making the search for
Intentionally
celibacy.
not having a sexual relationship, I think, is what we're talking about. To make that decision. I mean, I think that a lot of single parents, over the years, I've met a number of people that went, do you know what, I just decided no sexual relationship because it's so complicated with the kids, which I think's really sad as well, but can be really empowering, like that friend of ours, totally empowered by it. She made the decision, and she made the decision to go back to sex. It was all great. Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, if I'm honest, and I think there'll be a lot of women that will agree with this, I think after you've had a baby, there should be an agreement of celibacy.
Right.
I really do. I think for a period of time, because what happens in a relationship is, I feel, is that the man suddenly feels excluded. This is obviously totally from a female point of view in a heterosexual relationship. I know it'd be very different for other people. And so many women agree on this kind of way of thinking. And so there's enormous pressure for you as the woman to start feeling sexual soon, because you know that your partner's feeling left out. You've always got a baby on your breast. You've got your nuns all half hanging out. You're like, you feel huge. You feel deranged with tiredness and shock and fear and panic about, I've got to keep a human alive. And then you've got,
like that every day.
And then you've got, hi, feeling a bit left out. And that sniffing around that goes on between a couple. If you just said, right, for 6 months, we're not going to have sex, I think you'd go back to sex a lot quicker, because the pressure would have been taken off, and then you can be more intimate with the person, because this is where it all starts. The intimacy is lost, because people are like, I mean, how many women have I had this conversation with? Like, oh, I really wanted a hug, but I didn't go for a hug because I didn't want sex, because
That's what I was
my
going to
boobs
say.
are hurt and the baby's crying. I don't know. What do you
becomes,
think about that?
It becomes a currency. It becomes a currency.
That's a good question. Do you think there should be a celibate period that is agreed a period after you've had a baby?
A sex sabbatical.
Yes. What do you think, guys? I
sex
think I've
sabbatical.
come across a great idea.
I just want to read a couple of things.
These women would love that.
Claire H. We're chiming together. I do think it's weird that this article in no way caters for the possibility that the increase and uptick in celibacy searches has nothing to do with incel influencing the numbers. I think it has to. I mean, it's on the increase. So I do think there's that aspect to it. Miriam W.
What
puts
do
it.
you mean?
Well, incel. They will be searching about celibacy. They step towards celibacy.
Oh, it's a search. The search is right.
Claire H.
I'm on to
Claire
something,
H.
says Christine.
Miriam W. You need to find the right man with right-sized aubergine, and it makes it all the better. I just wanted to read that because it's quite a bold statement.
Go on, Miriam. Say how you feel.
Holly D. I honestly feel a bit traumatised from having sex too quickly after my son's birth. It put me off anything for about 2 years. My top partner didn't even mean to pressure me, I don't think. I think can I just say, there is that aspect to it too. I think you could easily demonise men and fathers for perhaps wanting that type of intimacy too soon. I can't even begin to imagine how a woman considers it after having a baby, but that's not to say that I didn't have my own passions and urges and desires in that 6-month period. But it's how you go about it, and it's how you
But to
manage
go
it.
back to how celibacy is often used within couples counselling for when people have lost their way sexually, it's like stop having sex, go back to having conversations, go back to cuddles and touching and stroking, and with the absolute ban on sex, you then start to want to have sex. So I think that's a really good idea.
Aaron Bullimore, the talk is always between men and women's different desires for sex. It's obvious looking at the gay community that men are no more sexual than women on average, so it's just heteronormative male pressure. I think you're probably right. It is heteronormative male pressure.
I think it is pressure on
Yeah.
men. I think it's real pressure. And I also feel sorry. Like, I can think of a couple of people I know that I suspect when the conversation is going around about like how much somebody's husband wants sex and it's annoying because they don't want it and everything. And you notice a quietness in the room and you think, oh, it's the other way round for you. But there's like an embarrassment for women to say that in a women's conversation, to say, oh, my fella doesn't want sex as much as I want sex. It's interesting, isn't it? But the other way around is totally acceptable to talk about.
Yeah, yeah.
And so young men have got this idea that they're always gagging for it. They've always got to be up for it. And not every young man is like that.
I just want to show the poll. Have you ever gone celibate? 54% say yes. 46% say
chosen?
no.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, final story before we get to the quiz. We've got a great story about the Danish way of parenting that we're going to do next week. It's really good. It'll make a great Confessions of a Modern Parent. I just wanted to share this guy. Tech mogul, 45, spends $2 million a year
so
to get 18-year-old body and gets erections like a teen.
This just makes me feel sick.
So Brian Johnson's 45-year-old man. He has a team of 30 doctors. Now, when you go through what he does on a daily basis, I just want to share with you what his daily routine is.
Actually, I shouldn't say it's disgusting. I think he's deeply unhappy
Yeah.
to do this. I actually feel sorry for him.
So his normal day, but again, I wanted to ask the question, if you could, would you like to keep yourself, get yourself an 18-year-old body? I think his heart is the age of a 27-year-old. His skin is the age of an 18-year-old. So what he does is he wakes up at 5 a.m. and this, just bear with me.
Immediately, no, is the answer to the question.
He wakes
I'm
up.
not waking up at 5 a.m.
Yeah, he wakes up at 5 a.m., takes a dose-by-dose supplements, medicines such as lycopene, lycopene, zinc, metformin, as well as a microdose of lithium for his brain. He then works out for an hour every day and does high-intensity exercise. This is what I do, this bit, 3 times a week.
Okay, well, that's not too extreme. I don't think I'd take lithium, though.
To quench his thirst, he drinks green juice laced with creatine and collagen peptides, while also rinsing his teeth with tea tree oil and antioxidant gel. He abides by a strict vegan diet, amounts to 1,977 calories per day.
I'm out. Only 1,977 calories. What about on a weekend when you want a curry and a Baileys? No.
But hang on, it gets better. Before going to bed, which happens at the same time every day, bang on. So he's obviously not watching Happy Valley. He wears glasses that block blue light for 2 hours.
My optician said the other day, those glasses mean nothing. There's blue light everywhere.
Yeah.
She actually said that. She goes, don't even bother with them.
This is the bit that maybe I'll indulge in this bit. The strangest aspect of it all is that he's hooked up to a machine while he sleeps that measures the number of erections he has while sleeping.
Love of God. Who is this man? Somebody said.
And it's at the level of a teenager. He's a biotech multi-millionaire, billionaire. His name is, what's his name? Apparently LeBron James is doing the same. Brian Johnson. Has the lungs of an 18-year-old youngster, the heart of a 37-year-old, and the skin of a 28-year-old. That's exactly what I wanted to say.
I mean, the thing is, he's taking vitamins and working out and getting up at 5 o'clock in the morning and going to the same bed. We all know that if we go to bed at 10 o'clock every night and we get up at 5 and we work out, we're going to have really young lungs. But none of us can be fucking off.
Elizabeth Miller, he might live longer, but is he living happier?
Mate, boo.
Did you hear that?
Yeah.
He might live longer. Would any of you do this?
1,977 calories a day. And as we know, the calories are nonsense. Christine's got the ick.
MT2 says, what if he was killed in a car crash?
I think this is a man who lives in fear. I think he's a fearful man.
He's a fearful man. The reason I wouldn't want to be an 18-year-old is I wouldn't want to go through all the paranoias and all the emotional turmoil that 18-year-olds go through.
I think we should go and do that. Would you like us to do I want to do this as a vlog, Mark, where we go and get our physical age. Remember that program they used to do it, where they would get your biological age?
I think.
And people would be like 50, but their biological age would be 70. I think mine would be 70.
Tomorrow on the Curly Cooks, I'm going to get Nadia and Dina to do the predict your death move. Do you remember getting off the floor? You're going to have to do it tomorrow. It's going to be. I bet Dina can do it. Tells you your age or when you're going to die or something like that. Anyway, it's quiz. Oh, notice Faith Goodman isn't here. It's quiz time.
Oh, I hope she's all right.
Yeah, I hope Faith is all right. She's always here
Friday.
for the quiz. Where are you, Faith?
I hope you're all right, Faith.
Yeah, sending you love if you can.
No,
watch
she
us and
was
catch
here
up.
earlier.
Was she? I think maybe she was. Oh, so it's quiz of the week.
Maybe I saw her on Instagram.
Quiz of the week.
Quiz of the week.
Quiz of the week.
Quiz of the week.
So are you going to go and
So
make
I'm
yourself
going to
another
go.
green
So
tea?
guys, listen, hit the subscribe button if you're new. Hit the notification bell. Have a look around the channel. We've got so much going on here. As I say, so many good shows that you could be missing out on if you're not getting notified.
There we go, guys. So, who's watching Love Island? Anyone? Anyone watching Love Island?
Me.
Yeah, I missed it last night. I was out last night, and I came back in, and I had to get all the latest. And of course, everyone was saying names. I didn't know what the bloody hell what name applied to which person. Okay, so quiz of the week. Obviously, those of you who aren't into quizzes, head off. But yeah, we're going to ask you 7 questions. You're going to see how many you can get. And we're all aiming for 7 out of 7, aren't we? We're all aiming for 7 out of 7. Let me do that thing where I've got the quiz on the right and I've got your comments on the left. So bear with me 1 second. It won't take me long to do this. Everyone wave your hands in the air like you just don't care. Do you remember that? That used to be said at gigs, didn't it? Wave your hands in the air like you just don't care. And back in the 70s and 80s, it felt radical. I remember being at a concert at the Hollywood Bowl, and John Williams was conducting music to E.T. and all that sort of stuff. And why was I saying this? What were we just talking about? Oh, and when people applauded, they didn't just applaud; they all waved lightsabers. 1 million lightsabers, well, not a million, whatever the capacity of the Hollywood Bowl is. Okay, oh look, everyone's waving their hands in the air like you just don't care. Okay, question 1. I'll shut up gibbering. Question 1. Pop star Doja Cat wore full red body paint and 30,000 Swarovski crystals at Paris Fashion Week. I think Nadia has to do this. But how did makeup artist Dame Pat McGrath describe the look? So, A, evocative of sublime sculptures, a true feast for the eyes. B, exquisitely detailed, solid and confident, yet deferential. What a load of old wank. Or C, her art. We want her to express her art in her way. If you get this, I'm going to cover you in Swarovski crystals. Miriam W. saying A, as is a frog. Margaret O'Brien saying C. Sean Tucker, B. If you haven't seen Zoolander, it's a fabulous send-up of the fashion world. It really is. Deborah Holdsworth is still waving her hands in the air. Anthony Wiseman says A. Teresa A. says B. Exquisitely detailed. Sarah Fox, think I'm done with this one. Guess coming up. Okay. A load of bull, whatever the answer, says Pixie Petal Jenny. You're not wrong. Pat McGrath is actually really cool. Oh, Melanie Williams, is she? I don't know who Pat McGrath is. Is she, oh, she's a makeup artist. Total guess C. Okay, the answer is A. Evocative of sublime sculptures and a true feast for the eyes. Question 2. Prime Minister Fumio Kishida said Japan was on the brink of being unable to function as a society because of a shortage of what? A, babies, B, clean energy, or C, microprocessors. Why is, according to Prime Minister of Japan, the country on the brink of being unable to function? Do they have a shortage of babies, clean energy, or microprocessors? If you're on this question, Margaret O'Brien is saying babies. Fiona Grockett is saying babies. Hi, Dale. Hope you're well. Hope the family's good. Dale Ibbotson says microprocessors. Reem AW, or the answer is also like a flaming hot Cheeto. Wow. Toffee Apple says A, babies. Quite a few of you going for microprocessors. I suppose that's coming from thinking that their industry is predominantly tech. It's babies. I mean, that's kind of a dilemma, isn't it, for any country? I mean, if our birth rate plummeted, we'd be empty eventually, wouldn't we? Be an empty country. Elizabeth Miller, literally guessing just keep guessing. Keep guessing. Question 3, not Prime Minister question. Sweden's Prime Minister was under fire after admitting he had hired an aide while knowing he had broken the law. But by doing what? What had this aide to Sweden's Prime Minister, how had he broken the law? A, failing to wear a seatbelt. B, falsifying his employment history. Or C, fishing without a permit. Anna Charalumbus has got 2 out of 2. So the Swedish Prime Minister's aide broke the law doing what? A, failing to wear a seatbelt. I think that was our Prime Minister. B, falsifying his employment history. Or C, fishing without a permit. Margaret O'Brien, Corshi's Adventure, Caroline Tellington, Toffee Apple, lots of you saying C, Hazel Malbon, Russ Souch, Deborah Tideswell. Lots of you saying C, and you're absolutely right. C is correct. Question 4. A Bill Gates founded investment fund backed an environmental startup aiming to reduce the methane emissions of cow burps by feeding them a supplement based on what? I'd have thought it was cow farts. A Bill Gates founded investment fund backed an environmental startup aiming to reduce the methane emissions of cow burps by feeding them a supplement based on what? A, algae, B, oysters, or C, seaweed? Quinn Fabry. What? Yeah. So they're going to give them a supplement based on what? Algae, oysters, seaweed. Teresa Saunders says seaweed. A Frog and Toffee Apple are saying algae. Carol Aviard is saying seaweed. Sean Tucker is saying seaweed. Anne is saying seaweed. Pink Lady, Sarah Fox, Fifi Chromac, all saying seaweed. A few algaes. Yeah, oysters doesn't sound right, does it? Seaweed. It's seaweed. And if you haven't seen the film Babylon, be prepared for the first scene in which an elephant's poo goes absolutely everywhere. It's a small spoiler within a vast and chaotic movie. 0 so far, says Linda Lovell. It's all right, don't worry. Question 5. There were first Oscar nominations for veteran actors Jamie Lee Curtis and Bill Nighy. It's amazing that Bill Nighy hasn't been nominated, but I suppose comedies, he's been in a lot of comedies. But which Black Panther Wakanda Forever actor became the first nominated for a role in a Marvel film? Was it A, Angela Bassett, B, Lupita Nyong'o, or C, Letitia Wright? Any film fans here are bound to get this right. If you watched our Academy Awards nominations announcement, not bitter. What are we going for? Lots of you saying A. Dale Ibbotson saying C, Letitia Wright. She is excellent in Wakanda Forever. If I'm honest, I think Angela Bassett maybe got it because she's a legend. But Letitia Wright was excellent in that film. Well, yes, the vast majority of you saying Angela Bassett, and you're correct. Question 6. And then I'm going to see how you're doing. Princess Eugenie, the king's niece, is expecting a second child who will become the 13th in line to the throne this summer. But what's the name of her first child? Is it A, August, B, Jack, or C, Sienna? What is the name of Princess Eugenie's first child? Is it A, August, B, Jack, or C, Sienna? Lots of you saying A. V. Withers is saying Jack. Corshi's Adventure saying Sienna. April Hill, Sarah Fox. Who's that? Veronica Fell. Not seen your name before. Is saying A. Katie Farraga, Christine, Olivia, Debbie O'Keefe, Remay W. All saying A. Yeah, you're right. It is A. Who's on 6 out of 7? Tell us what you got. Tell us what you've got. Come on, guys. Tell us what you've got. Yeah, Quinn Fabry. Yeah, you're not wrong. Deborah Tideswell, 4 out of 6. Teresa Saunders, 3. Carol Aviard, 6. Anthony Wiseman, 1. 6. Well done, guys. April Hill, 6. Lynn Sheard, 5. Toffee Apple, 4. Most you've ever got. That's good. Hazel Marbon, 3. That's good for me. Well done. 1 out of 6. MT2. It's the taking part that counts. Vicky Waiting, 6. Oh, Debbie O'Keefe, 1. Jan, 4. Sean Tucker. Okay, you're doing very well by and large. Okay, final question. Scientists were watching for an asteroid passing within 2,200 miles of Earth. When I heard this yesterday, I thought, that's quite close. Closer than the world's telecommunications satellites. Russ has got 5 out of 7. But to what did they compare the size of this asteroid? I don't know why. I don't know if anyone else has this. I have some strange, curious desire for us to be hit by an asteroid. Don't know why. It's a sort of nihilism, I guess. So what did they compare it to in size? A bus, B, a house, or C, a tower block? What did they compare the asteroid that flew past Earth yesterday at 2,200 miles away? Was it A, a bus, B, a house, or C, a tower block? Lots of you saying bus. So I think bus is the correct answer. So some of you must have 7. Vicky Waiting, we were a couple of years ago, Mark, in Russia. Yeah, something did hit Russia, didn't it? Yeah. Lots of you said A, that's right. So some of you must have 7 out of 7. 4, Salem Grove, 6. What else have we got here? Christine Bett, 4. Let's just pull you over here, everyone. Creatorholic, I'm late to the party. Hi, everyone. Don't cheat by spinning forward. Lynn Sheard, 6. Miriam W, 5. Fiona Grockett, 5. Yay, 7. Carol Aviard. Well done. Lots of 6s. I'm looking for more 7s. Any more 7s? Lots of 6s. Sarah Fox, Gillian Barris, Kate Farragher. Is that right? Farragher, sorry. 6. April Hill, first time getting 7. Debbie O'Keefe, 1. Oh, you've done very well, very well. Lots of 6s, lots of 6s there. Well, congratulations. I'm just going to quickly do a Mandy Beddoes, Mandy Beddoes, Mandy Beddoes. Welcome to the members area. As I say, for all you members, there's going to be a live members live tonight. Don't know what time yet, but we'll post a notice for that on the community tab. We're also going to be posting a link for our Agony Aunt podcast. And it's going to be popped in the community tab. It's a link where you don't have to write what you want to share or ask or talk about. You go to the link and you pop it in, a little bit like the members cards, of which a huge batch are about to go out of members cards. And also on Nadia's Insta stories, the link is also going to be there. So if there's anything that's troubling you, anything that's worrying you, anything you want to get off your chest, or anything that's a dilemma, we will not provide solutions, but we will talk about it and share perhaps our experiences and all that kind of stuff, and our thoughts on it. It's a new podcast. I think Nadia's called it Agony Aunt and Uncle. So that will be popping up on your community tab. I said a members live, and I do have a home time half edited in the locked, well, it's not locked and loaded, is it? It's half edited. Weekly rushes will be landing at some point, all your movie news. Lots of content. And as I say, the Curly Cooks tomorrow. So we've even shot a green-fingered hell. So Nanny Di is going to be on the channel too. So have a great fuck off Friday, everyone. Lots of love. Wow, that was a long one. And see you at some point later somewhere.